These Americans fled the country to escape their giant student debt. Chad Hogg considered living in a cave to escape his student debt. He had a friend do it. Today, he lives in a concrete house in the village of Uchucata for $50 a month. His backyard is more than 9,000 miles away from Colorado. Hogg said, his student loans don't feel real anymore. Some student loan borrowers are packing their bags and fleeing from the US to other countries, where the cost of living is often lower and debt collectors wield less power over them. Although there is no outstanding student debt in the US has tripled over the last decade and is projected to swell to $2 trillion by 2022. Average debt at Hogg's student loan balance of around $20,000 isn't as large as the burden shouldered by many other borrowers, but, he said, his difficulty finding a college-level job in the US has made that debt oppressive nonetheless. He struggled to come up with the $300 a month he owed upon graduation. The first work, Hogg had some hope restored when he landed full-time work as a medical courier in Denver, delivering urine and blood samples to hospitals. However, milestones that seemed like pipe dreams back home, like starting a family and owning a house, are now on his horizon in India. Last year, adjusting to a new country, he admitted, has not been entirely easy. Still, he said, moving to another country to escape student debt is risky, experts say. If the person wants, although the education department typically can't garnish someone's wages if they're working for a company outside of the United States, it can take up to 15% of their Social Security benefits when they start collecting. The education department did not respond to a request for comment. Chad Albright attended Millersville University, in Pennsylvania, where he studied communications and history. He graduated he had $30,000 in student loans and was soon faced with a monthly bill of around $400. Unable to support, he fell behind on his student loans and feared the education department would garnish his wages. Albright's credit score tanked as a result of his repayment troubles, making it difficult for him to buy a car and to land certain jobs, since some employers now pull credit reports. Seeing no future for himself in the United States, he decided to move to China in 2011. In the city of Zhang, though he earned just around $1,000 a month in China, the school where he was teaching covered most of his rent and the cost of living was much lower than in Pennsylvania. A few years later, Albright moved to Ukraine, where he is now a permanent resident. He first taught There are more reasonable ways of dealing with student debt, said Nasirian, at the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. Struggling borrowers should enter into one of the government's plans instead, in which their monthly bill will be capped at a portion of their income, he said. Some payments, but the fact that people are taking this drastic measure should bring scrutiny to the larger student loan system, said Alan Collins, founder of Any. Katrina Williams was in a rush to find a job after she graduated from the University of South Alabama in 2013. She was looking at She picked up multiple jobs, as a part-time barista at Starbucks, a substitute teacher and a delivery woman for the United States Postal Service. At one point, she lived with her mother and couldn't afford health insurance. Williams had a friend who had moved to Japan, and the idea of leaving the United States grew on her. In 2015, she has her own apartment now and doesn't have to work 7 days a week anymore. Yet Williams she thinks about returning to the US, but knows she will be welcomed back by wage garnishments and endless calls from collection agencies. Her student debt, More from Personal Finance.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up in the park pot.